It's an exciting Tuesday afternoon, the last Tuesday for the month of December, the last Tuesday for this week, the last Tuesday for the year 2019. Tomorrow, a new year. I really want to appreciate all of you, our customers, our clients, even you out there, taking our time to watch all that we do. Our news, our current affairs, our smart programs, we take our time to watch it. Even to our guests also that we reach out to come talk about topical issues, both international and local issues. It's not that easy. You know, you spend your money, you spend energy just to come to this place to enlighten the populace, the public. We know of that. That's why we're really appreciating you. Talking about this morning on ITV, talking about Good Morning from Benin, talking about International Forum, Africa Discuss, Flip Side, 60 Minutes Nigeria, Business This Week, our musical program, lunchtime programs. You know, you've been there with us, watching, even on radio also, Rush Hour, Man Around Town, in parks. It goes on and on. I really want to take our time to really appreciate you. Now, this is a season to show love. It's a season to show care. Don't wait for people to come to your house to say, oh, celebrate with us. You can go out there and meet them, reach them. You have the orphanage homes. And of course, you have the IDP camps in Uruguay. Just go there to see kids wanting to feel the impact of Christmas and New Year celebration. You can really make that difference. You know, to my guests in the studio, I really want to appreciate you. I have not introduced you. I really want to appreciate all of you for coming to the studio. And of course, appreciation will go to, first of all, Honorable Agarase Idubo. Since the beginning of this year, 2019, whenever I call on him, he always responds, except he has one or two things to take care of. Honorable, I really appreciate you. Welcome to International Forum.
Thank you very much.
Last edition for the year 2019. And of course, Barrister Osaho Osazuwa, I just keep on wondering, he doesn't like talking about local politics, but international politics, he's on point. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Whenever I call on you or send you a message to come around, you always do honor, unless you have something tangible, something very urgent to attend to. I really appreciate you, Barrister Osaho Osazuwa.
It is always my pleasure.
All right. And of course, a very vibrant young man here, Owaifo Williams. He was introduced to me by someone. Said, we'll take on him. He's good internationally. Yeah, whenever I call him, Williams, we have a show, International Forum, do your research. And he always obliges. Owaifo Williams, I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Wilson. Thank you, viewers. Happy New Year in advance.
Right. And of course, appreciate management and staff of ITV Radio. Yes, don't forget to mention the #1 person, our CMD, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawa Igbenegio. He took out time, he took out money. You know how much to establish the TV and radio station? To employ people is not that easy. Sir, you are greatly appreciated. Having said that, 2019 global events in view, retrospect. You know, 2019 was a year filled with so much, too much, that people are thinking that if we are not careful, we may just stumble into Third World War. God forbid. God forbid. Anyway, we want to take it up from one angle. The protests. You're protesting already. No. You are international. You are international. Honorable, you are international. Of course, it's a global thing. You can do that here. You can do that here. Yeah, you see, today's all about what happened in 2019 in retrospect. For that reason, I choose not to bring up various news making the round globally, so to give us enough time to really tell you what you might have missed out on, okay? Yeah, that is why we are here. Now, Williams, I want to start off with you. It's like it was protest here, protest there, global protest. When you go to the Eastern Bloc, you get to see protests. You go to the Western blocks, you see protests. Even to North and South, it's like no part of the globe was spared. The Hong Kong protests also was there, Algerian protests in Africa. Even Nigeria also, we have our own protests. If you go straight down to Iraq, protests against government policies, programs, and implementation. Take it up from there. 2019 and protests.
Yes, I think even the yellow vest protest stretched from last year to this year, and on January 5th Actually, it was beginning to get very violent, and the government tried to reach a peace deal with the protesters, and who were demanding so much from the government, because initially it was as a result of the hike in fuel prices. But then other issues came up. The protesters, even when the government reverted back to the original price, the protesters saw it as an excuse to hang on to the government and demand for more. And the government has been backpedaling on so many of its policies. Then Hong Kong, there was an extradition bill that was passed, and the president signed it, which led to protests all over Hong Kong. A lot of people were disconcerted with the bill, which in a way was taking away the sovereignty of Hong Kong. And a lot of people said it violated the Constitution, which says it is one government but two systems. But a lot of protesters came out, and they were trying to show that they didn't approve of what the bill that the president had signed, because it was a way of putting them under China, mainland China again. So a lot of people came out. Even, in fact, the parliament, the part that really stunned me was when the protesters took over the parliament. Members of parliament didn't have their seats. They took over their seats. They sat down there. They went with their face masks in case they were tear gassed. Yeah, right. They would be able to resist the tear gas. And so they were there. They stood their ground. And for months, they kept on protesting, even when the president came out to say, look, I no longer want this bill. I have backpedaled on it. They were asking for more. They were asking for a resignation and all that.
All right. As we're talking, I'd like the president director to please roll this clip, because people need to see the video clip of what we are talking about, because right now we are talking about the Hong Kong protest. But we want to go on a break, okay? When we return, I'll pass the baton straight to Barrister Osahon Osazua to throw more light on what transpired in the Hong Kong protest. Don't forget also what Williams talked about, the red or yellow vest protest, the one that happened in France. Lots and lots of protests. That is what we're going to start off with this discussion segment of International Forum. Do stay with us.
Appreciation.
In line with our tradition, board, management and staff of independent television and radio take this opportunity provided by this special season to appreciate our esteemed viewers and valued clients, as well as wish them joy, peace and prosperity.
For years, your patronage has been solid and your support unflinching. Today, we can confidently look back assured your partnership will always make the difference.
As 1 year winds up and a new one begins, we look forward to the future with a profound sense of optimism on account of the formidable collaboration we have formed over time.
Our earnest prayer is for this season, with all its blessings, to open up a whole new vista for you all year round. Once again, thank you, and top of the season to you.
Signed, Management, Independent Television and Radio.
Okay, it's a live studio, and this is the last edition of International Forum for the year 2019. Just join us right now in the studio. It's a legal practitioner, an environmentalist, a political analyst, but local and international politics is well grounded. Join me to welcome Barrister Chima Williams. Barrister, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wesley, for having me.
All right, and I also appreciate you for coming into our programs. Whenever we call on you to throw more light on lighting the public, I really appreciate you. For the year 2019, hope all of you will sustain the tempo, or even go beyond that, go ultra. All right. Okay, now let me come to you, Barrister Osahon Osazua, talking about protests. You talked about the yellow vest protest that took place in France, and of course the Hong Kong protest that went bloody, and everyone asked for the resignation of Carrie, which is like the executive director, so to speak, their head. They don't call her president because of the Chinese influence. Now, talking about protests, it's like the world had its fair share of protests in the year 2019. Take it up from there.
Yeah, thank you very much. 2019 reminds me of 1989. About Tiananmen Square and the Great Uprising in Eastern Europe, or what they call the Eastern Bloc. There comes a time in human affairs when the old order has to give way, when a new order has to be ushered in. And there comes a time in the lives of every generation when you have to take your destinies into your own hands and make demands on life. Life in the sense of the way you live your own life, the conditions under which you exist. You want to better your lot, and history has taught us that the old order does not just go away like that. They fight. They want the status quo to remain. So you have to do something about it. You have to raise your hands and do something. Like the great Renaissance writer and historian Alighieri Dante wrote, that we are all part of the fray, a symbol of the tumult. That a conscious alienation, therefore, is not a redeeming alibi, but a betrayer of an ideological banner, unquote. What the great Dante was talking about, that yes, you unless and until you assert yourself, you'll be taken for granted. You will remain exactly where you are, unless and until you do something about your convictions. That's what happened in Hong Kong. That's what happened in Iraq. That's what happened, or possibly still happening today in Iran. That's what happened in Bolivia. That's what happened in Chile. That's what happened in Algeria. Old systems were shook. That's what happened, my brother, in Sudan, where nobody talked Bashar al-Assad could go. What is his name again? The president, he could go.
Al-Assad, yeah.
Yes. No, but that's different. That was Syria.
Syria.
Sudan. It's Bashar. I've forgotten.
Yeah.
So, and he left because the people rose against him. This is someone who has been under sanctions by the United Nations and the International Criminal Court for a very long time. But he was still there until the people rose against him and said, you have to go. And they shed blood to do that. Like Thomas Jefferson said, that the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time by the blood of tyrants and patriots. That's the way it works. That's the way change comes. You have to be able to rise up and be counted. So we see young men all over the world pulling down shackles, bringing down empires, bringing down dynasties. They did it because they were determined to get results. So 2019, just like 1989, when we had the Lech Wałęsa then in Poland and the great changes that happened in Eastern Europe, people rose against the old order and they got results. And as we speak today, great results have been achieved in Iran, in Iraq, even in Algeria, where Abdulaziz Bouteflika has been there for several years. He has to go. So that's what it's an uprising.
Right.
The people are making demands on the old order. The old system is crumbling, and a new system is emerging. Okay. But to the extent to which the new system will emerge, we don't know yet. But it is a start. It is a start that they have said no to the old order.
All right. I still want to appeal to our President Director to please roll the clips as we're talking about all these events. Now, let me come to you, Honorable Agarase Idubo. Can one Christian, so to speak, now the year 2019 as a year of protests? Because I don't want to use the word revolution right now. You know why. As a year of protests. Yeah.
Yeah, whether you say protest or revolution, what's important, who are asking for their rights. You know, rights that have been trampled on over time. Like my brother just said, you know, in Nigeria, for instance, protest is still on.
Yeah.
Still trying to push away their president, and it's still on up to tomorrow. They believe that until the man decides to leave on his own, they'll force him out of there. So very honestly, if people believe that their rights have been trampled upon, the only one choice in a very civilized environment is to protest. I mean, he also talked about Sudan. Yeah. Sudan protested to the point that they forced the man out of office. You know, those are areas where you respect, you know, human rights. They allow you to do what you want to do, but do it within, you know, available limit. Unlike here, the protest here, they clamp down on you, and I mean, you might end up killing yourself. But very honestly, I mean, protests have been carried out in several parts of the world. The Hong Kong one, you know, that one almost yielded results because that was a pro-democracy protest, yeah. Which I believe, you know, in a consistent nature, they will achieve their objectives. But having said all this, things are small In UK, 3 years ago, for just an increase in the price of bread, they went to the streets. I think it was just 1 penny they added to it. They went to the streets, they protested until they had to revert. You know, I mean, these are civilized environments, very much like here. He mentioned that because of a little 2 cents in oil price, people went to the streets. We woke up here one day and they doubled the cost of fuel. And nobody protested. But this for 2 cents.
2 cents.
They went to the streets and they protested until they had to revert. You see, these are in civilized environments to protest. If you protest in an environment that's not civilized, it's at your own peril, your own risk. In this kind of country, if you protest here, even your parents will ask you, why did you go send you? But I always tell people, it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
If you find your mates doing something to defend the future, or to lay the foundation for the future, you just join them. I mean, it's just right. You see, in this part of the world, when you see a protest, the first to hold, you know, I'm 64 now. As old as I am now, if I want to protest, my mother will still think I'm a small boy. She hold my shirt. She hold my shirt. She will think I should not protest. I mean, she doesn't understand that. I mean, at my own level, I should know what I want to do. So until we all learn to be independent of our parents, go to the streets. If we think, because if you don't protest an action now, a friend of mine said to me, you cannot determine the action of any other person, but you can determine your own reaction.
Yes.
You can determine your own reaction. You can't determine, I can't determine your own action, for instance, but I can determine my own reaction. So very honestly, so these people, they understand that if they don't react now, then their future will be very bleak. So these are issues that when protests take place, it's a way, to my mind, of laying a better foundation for the future.
All right, sir. I'll come back to you now. Still on protest, Barrister Chima Williams. How do you view the year 2019, technically from the protesting, I don't want to use the word Protestant, from the protest angle?
You see, 2019, for me, could be likened to the year that people's consciousness for liberation, you know, got to a high level, you know, that even countries where it will hardly be expected that there will be protests, you know, people rose in their numbers and made demands. What is protest? Protest is an advanced form of advocacy, okay? And what is advocacy is clamor for change. And when things are not working the way it should, people have reason to make demands. And that is what we've seen go around, you know, almost globally from Britain, even in the United States. You know, what has happened, you know, in recent time is still part of protest. People protesting, you know, protest is not only when you go to the streets and start shouting. That is not the only form of protest. There are different kinds and categories of protest. Once you disagree with an order, with a system, you are protesting. Okay, so it now depends on your mobilization ability, which is what makes a difference. And when my friend, sorry, you know, my brother, you know, legal practitioner was talking about, you know, our own client. Okay. Now, I do not think that there is anything fundamentally different from here and any other part of the world. Okay? The only difference is that the mobilization ability of those that have tried to stage protests in this country in 2019, you know, may have varied from the mobilization skills and abilities of others at some other places. Okay? But were there protests? Yes. There were protests in Nigeria. Both for and against. They are all protests.
But there's a difference.
No, I have said it, that the difference is...
No. Those ones are spontaneous.
That is the mobilization skills and ability that I talked about. Okay, yes. There is no protest that is spontaneous. Any spontaneous action is bound to be
Could go out of line.
Somebody, somewhere, sat down, mobilized thought, but the reaction and the follow-up events may not have been as planned, but somebody planned.
No, fine. But others joined willingly, not the
not coerced.
That is the point.
Okay. All
People
right.
join willingly because they understand the message.
Okay.
If you don't understand the message, it is difficult for you to join a protest.
Okay.
Leaders of protest.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to sell the message for people to understand why they should be part of that protest. You know. So in our own climate, of course, peculiarities. If we know that the authorities will not allow protests to happen in Nigeria, if we do massive mobilization, as we have done it in this country, okay, at different times.
All right.
We saw the results.
All right, Brother Chima Williams, just hold on now. Hold on.
If everybody agrees with it.
Okay, fine. Now, we've talked about protests briefly because we want to touch some other vital areas globally. Yeah, protest 2019 was really marked with protests, internationally speaking. In our country, Nigeria, people came out to protest. And in some areas, it was bloody. Now, let's leave protests. Now, let's go to, let's now move over to the UK. And let's take a look at what happened in the year. Talking about the UK election that saw Boris retaining power, so to speak, and the clamor for Brexit. William Suwaifo, over to you.
Yes, it was a historic year for Great Britain. Theresa May did all she could to strike a deal with Brussels. And she made headway with them over there, and she tried to come back home to the UK to pan out that deal with the members of parliament. But unfortunately, a deadline which had been set for March 29th for the Brexit deal to be passed came, and she tried all she could to persuade the House of Commons, but they wouldn't budge, and she couldn't get a deal. And then she extended the deadline again to October 31st, tried to work out another deal, and for 3 consecutive times, her deal was voted down by the House of Commons. So they couldn't make headway. Consequently, she had to resign. And Boris Johnson was voted as the leader of the Conservative Party, so he became Prime Minister. And he also did all the antics, performed all the antics he could, but still he did not get through with the House of Commons. He couldn't get a deal. So what he did was he called for a snap election. And they did their campaign. The Conservative Party did everything they could. The Labour Party, headed by Jeremy Corbyn, also did all they could to persuade people. And I think the campaign slogan of Boris Johnson was very clear, distinct. He knew what he wanted, and he kept on hitting on it: get Brexit done. Those were the 3 words that were his campaign slogan, and he kept on hitting on it, that as soon as his party gets the majority votes, that he's going to make sure that he gets Brexit done. Kept on hammering on it, and as soon as the elections came, the UK voters rewarded the Conservative Party with the biggest election win in the last 3 decades. So it was a historic win for the Conservative Party, and that meant that they could now have a meaningful vote on Brexit. And they all stood that they wanted Brexit. And on, I think, December, I think they all voted and they said they wanted Brexit done, and they were able to get a deal through.
A deal through. Okay, fine. Johnson won. Corbyn did his best possible, but he was not able to shake the thought and, of course, the mindset of UK citizens. Osazwa, do you share the same view? And take a look at Brexit also. Do you see Boris delivering on his promise on Brexit? Since Theresa May couldn't deliver, can he do it?
The only way for Boris Johnson to get Brexit done in a way and manner he wanted to was to make the ultimate, he took the ultimate gamble. he placed everything on a single throw of the dice. He staked his reputation. He staked his place in history. He staked all he had on that single throw of the dice, and he won. He knew that he needed to call an election, and that he needed a big victory for that election if he wanted to fulfill his promise. He has said it to all who care to listen, that he wants to get Brexit done, do or die. He made it abundantly clear to everybody. Like my friend said, that was it. Get Brexit done. It was so catchy. The British people knew where Boris stand, but they didn't know where the Labour Party stood. Some faction was for Brexit, other was for stay, other was for remain. So it was just the Labour Party was a cacophony of ideas. They were neither there nor here. And everybody knew with Boris Johnson and the Conservatives that they want to get Brexit done. And Brexit, for crying out loud, has lingered too long in the minds and backs of the British people. They just want to put it behind them. They want to move forward. Whether you are going to, whether you are remaining or you are leaving, they just wanted certainty. Certainty is good for business. It is good for the economy to know the direction where the state is headed. And they voted for Boris Johnson. And now, he has everything it takes. He has the majority it takes to leave the EU. But the kind of deal he's going to get, that is the issue. The kind of deal he's going to get from Brussels becomes the issue. It is one thing to say, yes, we will leave. Do or die, we will leave. Now, of course, they have the power now, they have the number to live, to die. They don't want to die, so to speak. They have the, yes, what about to leave? That's the number. They have the number to do it now. But then, what's the aftermath, the after effect, the ripple effect of getting it done, dying? So that's left. The British people that have made their choice, they knew where the man stood, and they lined up behind him. So who are we to say are we more informed than they? So they have made their choice. If they want to die with Boris, we'll see if they are dying with him.
Fine, Honorable, I'm going to say, but now he made a very strong statement. If they want to die, well, it's their choice. If they will survive.
No, very basically, Brexit is a very major achievement. Major achievement.
But can they achieve it?
No, it's just the will. I think the man has the willpower. The average British does not think he's a European. I mean, they have that. I mean British. I mean, European. It should be red.
Wow.
So they have always believed that they're not part of this arrangement. They're not part of it. So for them, using your word, which was the campaign, get Brexit done. Beautiful. They just believed. You see, they turned the UK to a transit camp. The other European countries, the 27 of them or whatever, now saw Britain as one safe haven because most of the economies have crumbled. And now they can run to Britain because they are members of the EU. And for a British man, it's good to distinguish himself from the other people. And the cost of running government became extremely high because of the migrants. They migrated from their own countries, they became immigrants here. They left their own countries for want of whatever, like when we talk to the American and the Mexican people. Most of these people left their own countries in Europe now. I'm sure we don't have up to 10 or 7 countries that still have good economies. The remaining, the other ones,
Eurozone.
Yes. The other ones are just hanging on, and they just see the UK as one way to escape to. So for the British people, it was right. They needed to do that because the cost of running government became very high. Even it can even cancel out from whatever they're going to lose from the trade, whatever, and eventually. But I think for them, the average British man, if you see him, he's a proud person, conservative, believes that, yes, I'm not like this other people. I mean, a British man is a very proud person. I'm not like this other. And when Johnson used that as a slogan, they were happy with him.
Get Brexit done.
They were happy with him. Oh, God, let's put this behind us.
All right.
Theresa May did so well. I mean, she did so well to even conceive it. But again, maybe at the end of the day, she couldn't do what she should do. But having said all this, I think for a British person, Brexit is a finality. And as I said this to you, by January, the man, you just said so, he has a majority. Now, very comfortable for them. It's a rare one in 70 years. Yeah. Very comfortable. They could go ahead after exiting Brexit. They can sit down and see where we go from here.
Yeah. All right. Barrister Chima Williams, do you have an alternate view from their own perspective?
Well, you see, coming from the human angle, the Brexit campaign itself is a selfish agenda. Because Britain had been in the EU zone for how many years? When things were, good in so many of the European countries, and they benefited from it. And now that things are becoming hard, when they are supposed to be looked up onto to help, raise the going down countries of the Eurozone, they just remember that we are proud, which they have always been, and to establish that fact is the fact that, in the Eurozone, the currency of transaction is the euro. Yeah. But in Britain, if you don't have the pound sterling, I mean, you find it difficult.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so they stick to that, even within the time that they were in the Eurozone before Brexit. Okay? Yes, Boris Johnson may have used the catchword, get the deal done. It's okay. I mean, it shows that the world is turning inward. Inward. Everybody is now looking at me, I, and myself. Okay? Because what is the advantage of it? The advantage of it is to push out. It's not to push in, it's to push out. So our economy should be for us. Since we are good, we should enjoy what we have. Let the other ones go. If they want to survive, let them survive. If they don't want to survive, let them crash. Okay?
No, but the president does not mean that.
No, I am coming, sir.
It's been from his own interpretation.
That is the underlying factor. Of course, there is no country of this world that will stand alone. It doesn't mean that, Britain will not, give some kind of aids, the milking aids. Or trade with other countries. Okay? But why is Africa, let's talk about West Africa, why are we talking of the ECO?
The ECO, yeah.
At this point in time, while Britain is talking about Brexit. Okay? There are two standards. So one wants us to come together so that we can be stronger. The other one thinks that we're already very strong. So we don't, need anybody to be with us. We can stand on our own. And I will tell you this. Mark this. It's politics. It's all about politics. And Britain succeeding, which I will think because they have January deadline with Brussels.
They give themselves.
January 31st.
With Brussels.
Yes. Yeah.
With Brussels.
Yes.
It's not them giving themselves.
Yes.
It's with Brussels.
Yes.
So
January deadline.
So what's your prediction right now?
Now, what I will say is this. January deadline, is a make or man. Because it's the final.
He has said that if you don't like the deal, he will die. Yeah, so
if they don't like it,
we die.
They don't like the deal. No, not that they're dying.
I know what you mean. There will be no deal.
So if according to the point of deal or no deal,
back again to deal or no deal.
Yes. All right. So but at the end of the day, sir, we will see that Britain will, if they succeed in Brexiting, it will not be the end of the discourse on Brexit.
Okay, let's just watch out and see, because 2019 also the Brexit issue came up. It led to a snap election, other general election, and that gave Boris Johnson more muscle, talking about temerity, impetus to do what he needs to do, get Brexit done. We can talk about events that took place during 2019. We're talking about the one that capped the year. The impeachment of the great Donald Trump by the House of Representatives, as in that brought smiles to so many faces and increased the frown on so many faces. I don't know. Williams, you're going to take the ball from here.
Yes.
Trump's impeachment inquiry, and of course, that Iron Lady. Anyway, take it on.
Yes. Well, like you said, it brought smiles to so many faces, especially for those who have been observing the trend of the American president since he took office on January 20th of 2017. And ever since then, there's been so many abuse of power that people have seen. And people have been warning. There was even a time it was going to be censured by the House of Congress because of the way he insults people. You know, no regard for persons.
No finesse.
So no finesse. You know, everything is just about him. Yeah. So on July 25th, he made a call to President Zelensky, who just took power in Ukraine, and then he was on that call. A lot of people who listened in, the diplomats who listened in, said they were all concerned about the tone of the call. It didn't sound like a call that was diplomatic. It was more of a political call where he was trying to pressure the president of Ukraine to open an investigation into his own rival. And then a whistleblower in August of this year discovered that he had been hearing so many diplomats talking about a certain tit for tat, quid pro quo, as the Latins will put it, that President Trump withheld military aid that usually goes to Ukraine to fight the separatist group, which is backed by Russia. And Russia is the arch rival of America. So naturally, America votes, the Congress votes money, Senate ratifies, and then the president signs, and that money is sent to Russia, and it's done every year. And the money is about $400 million. He did it in 2017, he signed it. He signed it in 2018, and now, 2019, he had been stalling that money. He didn't want to release it, only for the whistleblower to go to the Inspector General of the FBI and lay a complaint that, look, this has been going on. He has been hearing from diplomats that aid that is voted by Congress to Ukraine has been withheld by the American president in exchange for investigation into his main political rival. And let's not forget that all the polls has been in a match-up poll with Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been leading President Trump in most of the polls. By good
numbers.
And in some cases by double digits. So it called to question what was the motive of asking for investigation into Joe Biden this year, and Hunter Biden, who is his son, who served on the board of a company in Ukraine. And now the whistleblower is saying, look, this sounds like abuse of power, and that the Inspector General should look into it. And then the Inspector General forwarded it to the Congress. Let's not forget, for those who want to say, look, the Democrats have been clamoring for Trump's impeachment since but even Robert Mueller came up with his own investigation and said, look, he's passing the ball to Congress because he believes he's not going to exonerate Trump on obstruction of justice, that the House should look into it because he doesn't have the powers to do so. So now, an impeachment inquiry was opened by Nancy Pelosi because she had no choice. She had been saying she doesn't want impeachment because it would divide the country more. And now, these are credible claims for an impeachment inquiry to be opened.
All right, Williams, thank you, because you spoke so passionately. But for all you've been saying, you don't even like this.
No, it's not about liking Trump.
Okay, fine. Now, let me come to Barrister Osazuwa. You are like following the same, you're towing the same line with Williams Owaifo about all of this. But a senator talked about the process, that it was not democratic. You can even liken it to what Trump said, malice, hate, witch hunt. Take it up from there. Because of the speed at which they just concluded the impeachment process.
It is said that facts are stubborn things. You cannot emotionalize facts. You cannot wish them away. You cannot, because you don't like facts, now just say, you can say all you want. Like Shakespeare said, let Hercules himself do what he may. The dog will still bark, and the dog will still bark, and the cat will still bark, and the dog will still have its day. When he was saying that no matter how great an argument is, you just talk by talking. There are certain facts that cannot be wished away. You can say that this paper is black because you have an array of armies that are backing you. You keep saying they are black, and then all the armies will say, yeah, it is really black. It does not change the fact that it is white. Despite the fact that thousands and possibly millions of people will back you because they like you, because they have sold their souls to you. Since you have said this is black, you have repeatedly said it, you have said it 1,000 times, that it will never become black. It will still be white. So that's that. That is the Trump parody. Year 6 today in the White House, that was supposed to be the greatest, the most dignified office under the sun. But the man presently occupying that seat degrades and denigrates that seat every day.
Your own opinion.
No, that's the fact.
Your own opinion.
If you were the president of the United States, what will not concern you with a retired army a gold star who lost his child during the war? Or will not concern you with a reporter who has a kind of epilepsy on his hand? The person will say something, you not reply. You not say, look at your hand is shaking, your hand is no good. You not tell that reporter that tears is coming out from my eyes as though he's coming out from God knows where. You know what I'm talking about? So that is and these are facts. Yes. No, these are facts. It's not what I'm saying. So that is the president of the greatest nation on earth doing these stops. Trump is hard to like. That's the truth. Unless you just have a certain bias with him. If you look at him, his lifestyle objectively, morally, he's a hard person to like. But having said that, he keeps getting results. I was watching his campaign, 2016 campaign, when he was saying that when he becomes president, the Americans will win so much that they will get used to victory, to winning, that everything about him will be winning. And to a large extent, he has won on so many fronts, especially the economic fronts. He has won.
Which Obama built anyway.
Yes, of course. It takes credit. No, it's true. The economy has been rising even some months, years, even before Obama left. But like Trump, you can't take it from him. If Trump wants his glory, just give it to him. Don't just try and don't share the spotlight with him for crying out loud. No, let him have all the glory. So that's that. But what do we have at hand? We have a president who makes a call to a sovereign nation that, look, I'm supposed to give you $400 million. Yes, but I won't give it to you unless and until you open an investigation into Joe Biden and his son. That is the fact, my dear.
All right.
Nothing can deflect that fact.
Okay.
Did he or did he not ask Ukraine? That should be the question. Did he or did he not ask Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden before getting the $400 million? That's just the question.
That's the question. Honorable guy said, would you call that politicking or tit for tat?
Maybe on another discussion forum.
Yes.
We'll look at the difference between truth and fact.
Yeah. Truth and facts.
Different things. Yeah. But let us not go to that down here.
Okay.
I mean, you use the word sovereign nation. The man plays the piper. And the man, in a warfare, everything is fair. In war, everything is fair. Kill your enemy. I mean, it's war. Whatever you deploy to fight in the fight, it's fair. Once you declare the war, the man is saying, oh boy, it was talking to the man as his friend. He said, oh boy, it was not coercing him, even though he withheld his money. Is it his money?
That's how we coercion.
Is it his money?
American taxpayers' money.
The president's money.
It's not his money. But you withheld it.
All right. So very basically,
oh God.
He told to his friend, oh boy, help me. There is this issue. I mean, this is a trump card. Do this for me. This man, I also have information that the man has done X, Y, Z. So just come and prove it to us. Just open your mouth and say it is true.
Yes.
That's what he was telling the man. But I agree with you. You see, America is a civilized country where the system works. I mean, you cannot use your position to speak, do that kind of thing. But it's because it's America. If it's in Nigeria,
these are normal occurrences.
Ukraine and the US. You've forgotten what happened to Nigeria by the same America. I mean, when they refuse to give us a...
So very basically, you know, America is big brother. If they determine what happens, they can determine what happens to any country. If you are dependent on America for AIDS, and the one is telling you do this for me, I mean, just do it for him and get your aid.
Get your aid.
I'll get your aid. But having said all of this, I agree that Trump, to some people, but see, people forget that there are more whites in America than blacks.
Of course. Yeah.
During the second term election, or midterm election, they say, oh, the Bible can't win, can't do this. He kept on winning. He kept on winning. Oh, but honestly, for me, when Trump is one person, you mentioned that he is writing on the back of a foundation led by Obama. You know, it's because America has a system which everybody must follow.
All right.
You just cannot dismantle. You can't dismantle what they have started. So it has to go on. But if his policies came and the policies were against those things, I mean, they'll put them off.
All right.
So how we say that? I think the man is one man who believes, if you curse me, I will curse you.
Tit for tat.
So very honestly, it doesn't take, if you do for him an Agbero style, it tells you he also has an Agbero blood. So it goes ahead, and that has been put to check many people.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Barrister Chima. You're going to have the last line on this because my PD says your time is up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have the last line about this impeachment.
Yeah. You see,
Impeachment.
the impeachment,
Yeah.
you know, is not a surprise to some of us. Because even before Trump became president, they were already clamor for his impeachment when he becomes.
Because of his misdemeanors.
Okay? And why is that? And that is the angle that we are not looking at. Why is that so-called hatred in quotes for a Trump by the elites? Because this is not about...
He is an elite.
He's the elite.
Yes.
He's the definition of elite.
I said by the elites also. By his own class. By his own class. Because it is not about the ordinary American. Okay? The simple answer to it is because Trump has come to demystify the mystery behind the elite class of America. Okay? Those things that people thought were unthinkable, unsayable, undoable, Trump have come to show that you can say it so long as it benefits the American people. Okay? America first, America first,
America first. All right.
The investigation will take Joe Biden is not going to put America to benefit him.
Wait.
No, it should benefit his political interest.
Wait. If Joe Biden has a skeleton in his cupboard, and then you are saying that it will not be to the interest of America.
No, FBI should investigate him, not another gentleman.
Which American president has been investigated the way Trump has been investigated?
Because of his misbehavior, he went out to say, Russia, if you are listening, look into Hillary Clinton's emails. So why won't you investigate him for Trump-Russia collusion? Who said so?
Williams and Younger Williams.
He called for the investigation.
Our time is up. Our time is up. Just come to me. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. Senior Williams, Younger Williams, come on, easy. Give them Williams a drink. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I really appreciate the wonderful analysis. We're not able to go through all the event pictures of major events, just to refresh your memory on how 2019 started and how it climaxed. Next year will be a wonderful year for all of us. Just celebrate moderately, okay? Keep hope alive, stay alive. Your visions, your dreams will be a reality. Gentlemen, thank you once more, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year.
Bye for now. All right.